Reason for one, welcome aboard. Joseph James, schooltrade.com. It's July 15th, 2010. Another day of summertime trading. I think summertime is officially now settled in here, guys, but we made almost 100 ticks again today. We've made almost 100 ticks every day this week and every day this month. Let's take a look here, guys. Before we take a look at the trades we took today, though, I want to remind you guys, there's a bunch of free resources on our blog right now. Now, chances are high you're probably watching our video right now on the blog. In the upper right-hand corner, you can search our blog if you want to know more about double tops and double bottoms, the pace of tape indicator. Use that search box in the upper right-hand corner. There's someone standing by to help you 24/7. Just click that live support button if you want some help, whether, of course, be with membership, with technical support, right? Or maybe you want to know when we took the last trade on gold. Right below that, you'll see our YouTube page, our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and then below that, guys, is the follow me button. I want to encourage you guys to follow our blog because every time we post something, whether it be an article, a video, or a live trade call like we just did about an hour ago, you're going to get a heads up on that in real time. So whether you're in the live trade room with us from 7:45 to about noontime every day, or maybe you're just a guest, or maybe you have never heard of us before, follow the blog, guys, and you'll get all the real-time information as it's posted. Right? So check the blog out. Let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8 total trades. Little scratch there on the euro. Almost lost my shirt on the euro this morning, but we were able to get out of that trade before it tanked on us here. Gold, Russell, crude. Notice, though, guys, all breaker patterns in there. Now, I think we had one two-step, though. I made a correction there again. But 96 ticks, 950 USD. Guys, we did 7,400 the first week, 5,250 the second week of July. Guys, like I said before, if this is summertime trading, bring it on. Right, bring it on. We're loving this every minute of it now in the month of July. Monthly total, 12,600 for the month and over 85,000 for the year, guys, so far. Only 4 contracts. Guys, we call these trades live in our room every single day. As an advanced member, you'll have unlimited access to us, guys, and you can follow these trades right along with us, tick for tick. What's the most important thing that happened today? Well, we're still making our way through options expiration week. Today was Thirsty Thursday. Now, yesterday was Wacky Wednesday. Wacky Wednesday, the Wednesday before OPEX, that's when all that, right, that strange volume comes in as traders begin to balance out their portfolio in anticipation of OPEX on Friday. So Wednesdays are usually going to be this just rocky roller coaster ride on Wednesdays. Thursdays tend to be a lot more calm of a day, and then Friday, tomorrow morning, the first couple hours of the day tomorrow morning, we'll be back to that roller coaster again. All right, guys, so we're right kind of in the eye of the storm, I guess you would call it, right, for OPEX week. So a little bit of a calm here on Thursday, but we're thirsty for Friday to get this OPEX out of the way and get on to next week. Okay, as always, summertime trading, we expect to see a slow start at the beginning of the day. We had a bunch of news today which kind of got things moving quickly, but we were very slow at the beginning. And like most summertime trading, we're going to see periods of high volume, periods of low volume, periods of high volume, low volume throughout the entire morning here. Okay, so summertime trading is characterized by a little bit lower volume than normally, right? Because the same reason why you and I want to get out from behind these desks here and go have some fun outside, right? Nice weather usually means traders are going to be out from behind their desks, enjoying their time with their family. So we see these little bit periods of slowdown, right, inside the day. It doesn't mean we can't trade during this time of the year. It just means during this time of the year, we got to be on our toes. Keep an eye on the pace of tape indicator. Watch your time and sales window. Pay attention to average to range, and keep a real close finger on the pulse of the market, because you're going to want to identify when that volume drops. Most importantly, so you can avoid trades. But then when the volume starts to rise again, you want to be back in the market looking for patterns. Okay, this is definitely not the same market environment we saw just 2-3 weeks ago. Right, where we saw everything moving, big moves up and down. Now we're having a little bit harder time seeing the big moves here because of that summertime slowdown. All right, guys, so summertime's here. Make sure you guys bring your sunblock to the trade room tomorrow morning and make sure you watch that volume. Now, here was something we noticed right away here on gold. We call this a wedge pattern. And guys, a wedge pattern is a real simple pattern. If you follow me down bottom here, right, the wedge pattern will usually look something like this. It'll have a trend line coming from the top, trend line coming from the bottom, and of course inside of this wedge, right, will be sideways trading, and the goal is, right, is to of course wait for a break and then trade the break, right? That's the goal. Now, a wedge pattern is characterized by low volume at the extremes, and you're going to start seeing more volume once we get towards the middle. All right, so when you see the middle of this wedge pattern right in here, that's where you'll see most of the volume. Okay, most of the volume will come right in at the middle there. Now, look here and see the wedge pattern, right? There's the wedge pattern. Now, here's what happens all the time, though. We're trading inside the wedge pattern, and then we're going to break out. And you can see what happens next is gold's going to break out above the wedge pattern. Now, normally when we see a breakout above, we're going to look for a trade pattern. So here we are, we break out above the wedge, and we begin looking for a breaker pattern long. As you can see, though, we didn't get any move to the upside here, so there's no breaker pattern, right? No trade triggered. And then look what happens. We come back down, we're going to use the top of this wedge as support, and then we bounce right back down in. And then we find ourselves sitting right here, now inside the wedge pattern. So we looked for a breaker pattern, didn't get the breaker long. We then watch as the gold price, right, bounces back down in the wedge pattern, and now we expect the wedge to continue going sideways. All right, so what we saw here was, here's our wedge pattern again. We saw price break out, right? Price broke out. We looked for a pattern here, but we never got the pattern to the upside, right? What happened was it returned back to the downside, right? So returned back into the wedge pattern. All right, so no trade there, then we have to wait. Now we're back in the wedge pattern going sideways again here on gold, and right, we got to go keep waiting again. But then what happened next? It broke through the downside. Now we break the downside below the wedge pattern, right? There's my wedge pattern now. Now we break below the wedge pattern here, right? So here we go. We break the low of it. Mark up my swing low. Now we look for this same pattern to the upside before, but we never saw it trigger. We break below that swing low. Monstrous winning trade here on gold. 939 was the fill. 10.5, was the fill. 939 was the time. This is a breaker pattern short. 2 off at 4. Move that stop to entry -1. Lock it all the risk. 1 off at 8. 1 off at 5. That's 21 ticks. $10 a tick. 210 USD. So the most important thing we saw here, guys, was the first thing we saw today on gold was that slow sideways wedge pattern. Once we saw price break to the upside of the wedge pattern, we looked for a breaker long. We didn't see it trigger. Price then came back down inside the wedge pattern, so we had to wait, right? Sit on those hands. And then price broke below the wedge pattern, and it gave us our first trade of the morning. Guys, that's a great example of how easy it is to watch these patterns develop. And it really didn't take that long, and it certainly doesn't take a lot of experience to learn this stuff. All right, so first trade on gold, nice big winner. Next trade on the Russell.